Hello, everybody in TV land. It's Laura Victoria Ward in a Zoom room with other people. So if I'm talking weirdly, I'm talking to them. Or if I gesture, it's because I'm letting somebody in. So if you ever want to be in this Zoom room, the role play classes happen on Mondays at 4:30 p.m. Eastern and Wednesdays at 11:30 a.m. Also Eastern. I live in New York. So today we're going to do predictive processing again, because I've been thinking more about it and playing with it. And so much of the work in the continuum work and in the sort of idea of creating new patterning, we have to not be in the old patterning. We've got to go somewhere different, right? And so I'm just going to read to you what this predictive processing is. It is, and I stole this right off the web. I'll put it in the link under the YouTube thing. In neuroscience, predictive coding, also known as predictive processing, is a theory of brain function in which the brain is constantly generating and updating a mental model of the environment. The model is used to generate predictions of sensory input that are compared to actual sensory input. So when we're in predictive processing, our brain is putting together our idea of what's actually happening and what's going on. And if we don't engage in different things, our processing is sort of, let's say, crusty, and we're not going to notice new things. New things might be happening, but because of our brain state and our understanding of reality, our reality tunnel, we're going to be keeping and seeing our world like this. So I think right now we need to start all opening out our worlds a little bit. And so when we play with this idea of predictive processing and interoception, we're coming into the idea of noticing what's actually happening and also being available to new things happening. So like with the continuum work, if I go into my exploration and I go, I'm going to move like this, and then I know because I like to move that way and I'm going to go that way. Instead of doing that, I'm going to dive in and I'm going to go, where am I going? Where am I going now? What does this feel like? And I'm going to keep tuning into sensation to guide my exploration. So how's it going over there? Yeah, I actually have another person in the house too. So it's very exciting today. And she's got the whole cat event happening. So I suggest that we actually start just in any kind of comfortable position, coming in for a landing with ourselves. And I'm going to offer this breath. It's the theta breath from Continuum. It's a soft hiss, a soft exhale, or it could be a TH sound. Just your tongue lightly behind your teeth. And you're going to just let that sound play out for as long as it's comfortable. We're not trying to like have this exhale last until eternity. We're just doing it for as long as it feels good. When we need to breathe in again, we breathe in again. The other thing is, you can see I'm very amped up. I am in beast mode today. I am like, rah, doing everything. So I need to calm myself down. This theta breath, extending my exhale, is going to slow me down, bring me in for a landing, and be able to find presence within my body so that I can be in the internal interoception, proprioception, kinesthetic awareness, following movement, following the desire for movement, and following the fluidity inside my own system. All right, so we'll work with theta for maybe a couple of minutes. And if you need to take resting breaths, just take resting breaths. So anytime you need to breathe normally, breathe normally. If you feel like the theta breath is stressful for you, then just drop it out entirely. So I would also like to invite your body mind to participate in micro movement. So letting any kind of little movement that's bubbling up play out. You're not locking down the system, you're opening it up. So instead of coming up with the model of existence as what you are familiar with, we're looking into what maybe have I not noticed, or what is new. So with that, we want to keep moving into new territory, into novel sensation. And if I just move my head ever so slightly, I become very aware of the back space. My whole body wants to move in different ways. So if I just have this little bit of head sideness, then suddenly I bring in this whole other quality of feeling into my body. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. Everything in this class is your choice. You can do something completely different if that feels good. I also want to add, if emotional stuff comes up, you can allow it to come out. If it feels too uncomfortable to deal with, just rest in silence and stillness. That's also fine. So really allow yourself to engage with however this feels right to you today. And this, everything we've ever experienced is stored in our body, in our tissue. So when we start to allow these little patterns to play out, some of that stuff may come up. Sometimes it can be emotional. So be very kind to yourself, loving kindness, gentleness in this practice. This is about nourishing your body mind and coming into the possibility of new expression. I'm laughing because the cat is in the other room playing with a toy, and I think it's making it harder for Julian to come into herself. Anyway, so we have the world happening at all times. There's things happening out there. How are we with that? How's that balance? How's our internal awareness, our interoception, our feeling into ourselves compared to our exteroception? What's happening out there? What's in the outer world? So this is an invitation to tune more into the inner world if possible. So I'm going to drop in 2 ideas that might help find the micro movement for you. And one is that the spine, and we could just think our whole brain system through our brain, through our spinal cord, our whole nervous system is like a fluid system. So if we imagine the spinal column as a river instead of a column, we offer more freedom. So I'm just going to invite in this delicious little bits of movement. How can I move? I can move from side to side. I can move up, down. I can move forward, backward. I can shift my weight. I can just play in there. I could do this laying down on the floor. I could do this in a bed. I could do it standing up. I could do it with green eggs and ham. And Sam, I am. So let yourself play. Start to invite in this micro movement, which may be macro movement. It may be so small you can't see it, or it may be very big, with this idea of this internal river moving through our body. So it's not like you don't have to make it happen. You can allow it to happen. And that's the difference between like the predictive processing, where I think this is what's going to happen, and then the really being in sensing and feeling like, well, maybe this would feel better. Maybe something else is more alive in me right now. So tuning in, we could say, to the life force within your body and how it's moving or how it desires to move. And if we find we are starting to move into a pattern that's very familiar, change something, slow it down, shift the space. Yeah, we can kind of move up, down, side, side, forward, backward, and then we can mix those patterns around. So inviting like undulation into your movement, inviting like slow motion breakdancing. I don't know, anything you want to think about that is in alignment with you. And of course you can change. I'm just seated now as I'm talking. You could be laying down, rolling. Yeah, the whole idea with role play was that we were rolling on the floor to like hydrate fascia and tissue and tune into our nervous system in this different way. Allowing the body mind to express, release, and move in novel ways in the interests of expanding our engagement with the present moment. What is really happening right now? Not what do I think, what's my prediction that's happening, what's the bubble of the world that I've created in my reality, but what's really, what is under that? What's underlying that? And as I say that, I start to notice stuff in my neck, jaw, and tongue. So if I soften my neck and jaw and tongue, I'll play around with that a little bit. Do the droopy voice. I can change things. So a lot of these breath sounds, like this, or just going like this, relax your tongue, are going to shift your sensation. So let yourself play with any of those at any time that it feels interesting to you. The other thing I was going to suggest, besides that idea of the river being, the spine being a river, the river being a spine, the spine being a river, is this idea of growing and shrinking with the breath, so that we could imagine that every cell in our body is breathing. It is. So we have this deep cellular respiration going on. And as we're in that space of breathing, there's this natural growing and shrinking. And this could be very tiny little near reach space movement close to our bodies in our kinesphere, or it could be like, wow, I need to get out. I need to radiate and open up. So anything that feels good to you, just tuning into this sense of growing and shrinking and imagining it's the breath, breathing on the cellular level and with your lungs and diaphragm as well. So there's a sense of on the inhale, we get bigger, opening, expanding into the world. And on the exhale, we come back into ourselves a little more deeply. What does that feel like? And adding any kind of yum sounds or theta breath, just to feel into that, just to tune in. What is that like right now? And feel free to pause. Take a moment in stillness to allow the processing of your own system, processing what you're doing, what's going on, without any need to name. You can just be in there and trust that the system is going to process. If stories are coming up, if your fantasies are coming up and your desires or the things that you can't get out of your head, the monkey brain, that thing that happened to you yesterday, or somebody said this, or that person doesn't like me very much. If that stuff is coming up, let it just wash away. Imagine that like there are waves around you. And as you're in your breath and your movement, any kind of these external things are just getting washed away by the waves. You could also imagine that those waves are allowing you to move more deeply. So waves giving you access to this micro movement. Yeah, and this could be very big or very small. So keep tuning back, if possible, into, am I thinking this is where I'm going? Or am I allowing myself to just go wherever I am called to go? Are you planning the course? Are you charting the territory? Or are you allowing the map to just unfold freely? So when we spend more and more time with this, it becomes easier and easier to just step into the realm of like infinite possibility of movement, which doesn't mean like, oh, I can now do the splits or this or that. It means that there's a freedom in your whole system and it could go anywhere. Softening, letting go. Add some sounds, add some sound vibration. You'll feel it vibrate in different places in your body. So that's again, interoception. As I'm speaking to you, I can feel the vibration of my vocal cords in this whole upper area of my body. If I relax my neck and tongue, my tissue starts to change around that. I'm going to take it down to the floor. Dancing with my creaky floor. Bringing your mindful, your full mind into sensation in your body. And allowing yourself to just move in any way that feels delicious and interesting. But if you feel like you're planning out your route, again, let that go and just go somewhere different. So even like, especially as soon as you notice, oh, I'm going to turn this way, then go the other way instead. So you're starting to like catch yourself. And eventually there'll be a time where you just go, oh, I'm just there. Oh, now I'm just here. Oh, this happened. And it's a surprise every time. So we're letting go of the need to control as we just explore and discover. Oh, there's a great thing in, I think it's the soul making Dharma, which is Catherine McGee and Rob Burbea. And they talk about create, discover, and that create, discover is happening at the same time. So inviting that into your movement, that it's just discovery. And as you're discovering, there's creation and you're exploring new territory, which, as I said, can become emotional because maybe there's a safe pattern holding you there that's keeping you safe. And you've been relying on that pattern for a long time. So maybe don't push it too far. You can always come back to stillness or come back to something familiar. We don't want to shock the system. We don't want to shock the monkey. We want to be gentle and loving and spacious. Yummy. Yeah, as soon as you think, oh, I know where I'm going, go somewhere different. And see where you wind up. The whole body is invited on the expedition. You've got fingers and toes. And also you can play with the tension in your body. Like you could do it very light and easy and gentle, or you could get more strong and claw-like, playing with the dynamic qualities of your movement if that feels interesting. And sometimes when we start to expand our capacity to be in our bodies in different ways, it can be like, oh my God, that's really strange and unusual. So if this is a new practice and you're spending time in it and weird shit is coming up, maybe you need some more external support. Maybe when I was studying movement analysis, I was seeing a Jungian analyst at the same time, which I felt was kind of helpful. But ultimately, for me, most of the stuff that I need to do to be in right relationship with myself is movement. But it can involve talking or processing or writing or being creative. So you could also imagine that your movement, you're just pouring yourself around. If you just imagine that you're one big container of body, a body of water, you can pour that water around. And try pouring it like you're pouring paint. You don't know which way it's going to go. How is that water going to spread out? Again, coming back to the idea of being in the unknown, not planning the next move, but just allowing it to arise because, oh, it feels so good like that. Oh, that's delicious. Yum. Letting the crusty stuff crack and fall away and be replaced by fluid, hydrated, easier stuff. Yeah, sometimes we really identify who we are by the way that we feel. Like, I'm an angry person and I only know this way of being. What happens if I start to let some of that go? What if I let my idea of who I am be more expansive? Or maybe like, I'm a speedy person like me. What if I start to try slowing myself down? What happens then? And redefining what's possible for a speed demon like me. Can I slow it down? What happens when I slow it down? Or can I allow that little bit of tension somewhere to melt away? Or is it protecting me? Is it serving me? Do I need to hold on to that? And we don't need to feel bad about whatever got us to this point in our life. You know what? Your body and you were doing the best you could. So we want to have huge gratitude for our bodies and also forgiveness for ourselves for the mistakes that we made. And sometimes these patterns can release really fast and shift completely, but that can be very destabilizing for our lives. And then we have to adjust in all these other ways. So sometimes it takes a really long, slow time. And then suddenly you realize, wow, this has completely changed, a year later or 2 years later or 10 years later. And sometimes it's fast. So just tuning into the capacity to adjust in a way that isn't too jarring, right? Using this type of movement, this type of awareness to slowly shift, slowly and sustainably shifting, tuning into what could be new and wonderful. I'm going to add music. If it is too loud, then let me know. I listened back and I'm like, that might have been a little too loud. Or if it's too quiet, also let me know. Let's go with this one. This is Jeff Gersh, Ambient Fields, guitar music. Takes a minute to get going. I'm going to start it and then I'll turn it down a little bit once it gets louder. Yeah, allow the music to inform your movement, giving you new possibilities. Oh, somewhere different to go. Growing and shrinking with the breath, cellular breathing, maybe even imagining the movement of the cells. Sometimes it's very nice to go back to the familiar. Sometimes it's very comforting to be in the familiar. So you can use that as a tool also. But if it's possible to keep opening new doors just by trying slightly different things, turning in a different way, finding a spiral instead of a linear pathway, and then maybe let it turn back in on itself. Maybe the movement starts in one place and then it shifts to a totally different place, or the awareness is in one place and then something else comes in. Yummy. Tuning towards deliciousness, yummy sensation. It's very easy for us to notice the painful spots. So let us see if we can also notice the delicious parts, the delicious areas. When we turn our head really small and gently, we're giving our primitive brain that area the opportunity to know that we're safe. So just turning our head gently from side to side can be a good way of going, is it safe? If you open your eyes and look around and you can see your environment, you can orient and go, it's safe. I can go back in. So allow that to be another tool to help you tune into a sense of safety in a deep body way and in an external environmental way. Is it safe? We look around. Yes, it's safe. And we learn that. Our brain gets that. Yeah, so undulating tends to be novel movement for most people. Invite in spirals and undulations, ripples and waves. Continuum would talk about wave-like and tentacle movement. So wave-like and tentacle movement. Oh, cat on computer moment. Take away the idea even that you have muscles and just let yourself move, unless it feels really good and you want to get into your muscle action. But imagine that you're just this whole fluid system and your movement can come through that fluidity. It's not coming because I'm using my muscles in this mechanical system, but it's becoming because I'm flowing, because I'm moving with this watery quality. And tuning into your awareness enough to know if you're following, if you're leading, if you're allowing the movement, or if you're forcing the movement. Also, this doesn't have to match. Like, you don't have to be even on your two sides or make sure you're balancing this out or you're using this and then that. This can be very odd and uneven, and it's fine. That's fine. It doesn't have to be in any way balanced. It can be completely out of balance. Maybe you have a pet involved in your dance. I know Sunny sometimes comes into the dance. The cats sometimes come in and out. let yourself have that nice contact improv moment. Right? That's the beauty of dancing with another person, is you don't necessarily know what they're going to do. So there's the natural response of the unknown. How's it going to respond? Think of being in the ocean with the waves. When you're in there, you don't know how it's going to move your body. So allow that idea in. What's going to happen now? What can I let go of? What do I not need to hold on to anymore? What can I practice some unattachment, non-attachment? What can I feel equanimity with and for? This sense of easiness. Nothing to do. Just follow the novelty, follow something different. Is there somewhere different to go that I haven't been before? Is there a new place? And as I'm in this travel, are there bits of luggage that I can just jettison on my way? I don't need to carry that stuff. I can take off that backpack of everybody else's expectations or what I should, could, wish. I can just be here. Throw out that backpack, get rid of that extra suitcase. Yeah. Make room for something else. Maybe there's a new suitcase that's even shinier and better. Or maybe you just want to be unencumbered by these cultural, familial, political expectations. What can you shake off? We're coming towards the end of this session. So I'm going to actually stop recording. Give us a couple more minutes of coming in. Not stop recording, stop music. Give us a couple more minutes to let our bodies process. So yeah, when we start doing this work, it can have there can be a need for more adjustment around it. Like when you make changes, give yourself time to adjust. And time might not be like, oh, I gave it a couple of hours. It might be, I gave it a couple of years. I gave it a couple of decades, and then it felt okay. It could be whatever. All right, non-TV people, please like and subscribe.